Hey there, my name is Carla. Welcome to my channel. In this channel, I'm going to be talking everything about money, how to leverage credit, how to leverage other people's money. Also, I'm going to be talking about financial literacy, credit cards, and much more. So please subscribe to my channel and like this video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the credit card mistake to avoid as a beginner. So stay tuned for this information, which I'm going to be providing in a few seconds. But first, I want to invite you to my free VIP group that I'm hosting on school. So jumping into the subject, as a beginner with credit card, it's essential to avoid this mistake that I'm going to be sharing with you. It could, if you fall and you just start making this mistake, it's gonna harm your credit and also your finance. So you have to be really aware of this situation, and you have to try to handle it as best as you can. So here are some key credit card mistakes to stay away from. And the first one is gonna be overspending. Usually the pitfall is about that people used to spend more than what they afford to repay. So you have to be aware that you have to stick with the budget in order to avoid charging purchases on your credit cards that you won't be able to pay later off, or by the due date, which is the recommended situation that you pay in full every single month. So if you are not able to afford it, you just have to make a budget, and you have to be conscious like, okay, I'm just gonna be spending on this credit card for this month, this time, this amount of money. After that, you won't be using it anymore, because that's the only part that you are able to pay. So after that, try to handle yourself with cash or debit card, something like that. That way you don't hurt your credit, because right now what we are trying to do as a beginner is build your credit. So you have to really be focused on that. Just try to be mindful, be responsible, don't overspend. If you are sure and you know that you don't have the money, I know things can happen, maybe an emergency. Just be mindful about the spending, and don't fall for overspending, because it's going to hurt your credit tremendously. So this is the first mistake that I'm going to mention. The next one is going to be making late payments. So obviously, because probably we overspend, like I mentioned before, we don't have the money to pay back on time, so, or before the due date. So basically what we used to do, and a lot of people fall for this too, and it's like, I'm just gonna pay the minimum payment. So they start getting with this situation of paying minimum and then have to deal with the interest rate. But in this case, particularly, I'm talking about making late payments. You're gonna be hit with a late payment fee. Not to mention, also the late payments are usually reported to the credit bureaus, and it's gonna be a negative impact to your credit score too, because of this specific situation. So when you are missing a credit card payments in you pass the due date and you haven't made even the minimum, that's gonna hurt your credit. Like I mentioned, it's gonna result in a late fee, also penalty on interest rates, and is going to damage your credit score. So you have to be aware of this situation, because it won't matter after you pass that due date, it will cause trouble for you. So in this particular case, what I suggest you to do is set up automatic payments. That way, at least for the minimum, and then you have to be responsible enough to pay the remaining balance before the due date. That way you can pay in full in a monthly basis, which is the best practice. And also, or what you can do if you don't want to set up the automatic payment is set up some reminders on your calendar, on your phone, or something like that. Something that for sure you're gonna be able to remember, or you're gonna be able to see every time frame, or every period of time when the payment is coming. That way you remember to pay your bills on time, because that's the main key. Pay the bills on time. It doesn't matter what is it. In this particular case, we are talking about a credit card, but we are talking about everything, utilities and everything else. Just be responsible with your bills. Pay on time, because either way is going to hurt your credit. So another mistake is ignoring credit card terms and fee. The disclosure usually have all of this information, and a lot of people ignore this because they just see a lot of paperwork that they don't want to read. But it's important that you go through every single details on that disclosure. That way you are aware of every single detail related to your credit card. So many credit card come with fees that you have to deal with. It could be annual fee, late fees, balance transfer fees. There is many other fees that can be related to your card that you are not aware of, and it's important that you are, because if you start seeing any fees that are weird for you, you're gonna start getting upset, or you're gonna call the banks. But the only thing that they can say, hey, you signed for it because it's on the disclosure. So just don't get to the point to have to make this uncomfortable moment for yourself when you could go through the paperwork and just read it and be aware of all of this information. So just read the terms and conditions carefully. That way you can understand the cost associated with the credit card that you decide to use, or the product that you have in your hands. That way you avoid unnecessary fee, because all of these fees usually are avoidable if you recognize and you understand about it. And at least if you get hit with this fee, is because you are aware of, or you are really, I mean, you did it on purpose. That's what I meant. So just be aware of these important details, because it's like I said, a lot of people doesn't like to read all of these paperwork, but at the same time is really important. That way you don't have to deal with fees, because there is many fees that you can deal with if you are not aware. Another main point or main mistake is carrying on a high balance. So like I mentioned before, when you carry on a high balance on your credit card, it's gonna negatively impact your credit like badly, because of the utilization ratio. So this has, when we are talking about credit score, this has a really high really high percentage. Is one of the main, or the higher percentage when they are calculating your credit score. So you have to be aware of that little details, which usually is recommended that you are below 30% of utilization. So let's say that you have $100 credit limit credit card. For the what is recommended is that you are not higher by the closing statement, or the statement closing date, you are not higher than 30%. So one of the keys, like, you can basically use the $100 before the statement close. You can pay back some of that money and just leave it in 30% or below, which basically by the time that the statement close, it will be $30, even though you already spent and you repaid. And that's the kind of a game of the using the other people's money, meaning the bank money, and pay back, and you can go from there. But at the end of the line is good for your credit, which is this is the game that we are playing with. So in my personal opinion, I recommend that the utilization is below 10%, between 7 and 10%. If it's even lower, I mean, if it's lower, even better. But I mean, if you have high utilization, I truly encourage you to aim for 30% or below, and then you work down to go down until 10% or below, and moving forward. So I just want to let you know that it make you aware of the really high impact on the high balance. Also, you have to be aware that when you don't you carry this utilization and you pay late, or you pass the due date, is gonna incur on the fees, late fees, so that you don't want to deal with. So just be aware of this information. Another mistake is closing all accounts. So this is a main one. On closing dates account, you have to be aware. That's why you have to be very, very particular when you are choosing your credits card. Even if it's a secure card, or try to find a secure card that graduates, and that way it doesn't show up as you close it. because when you close an all account, which if your first one and you are trying to build your credit is a secure one, when you close that account, it's gonna shorten your credit history, which reduce the overall available credit. So this is a negatively impact your credit too, your credit score, because of the history of the credit. So that's why we don't recommend, or I don't recommend, closing all accounts, but there is always exceptions. So I make a video about any specific product that I don't recommend, and I fell for that mistake and I don't recommend it. But though that could be an account that you are able to close, so it's like just close it. But you have to be aware and you have to be mindful of closing an old account is going to hurt your credit, because usually the accounts that you want to close is the one that you are not using, or it doesn't have any value. But remember that if you go for the zero annual fee and you are not opting for any fees on those cards, just keep it open. There is no need to close it. If you want to just put a small amount of expense on that one that you just pay back, and that way you keep it active, but you don't have to close it at all. So just keep it there, keep moving, just be mindful and check. Don't apply to credit cards just for the fact to apply, but apply for credit cards that really have a good benefit for you in the long way, so that way you don't feel that you need to close it in some point. So yeah, instead of closing those accounts, what I recommend you to do is basically keep them open, if is a good one, and using them occasionally. Just like I said, just pull a small expense, a small amount there, just buy a few pieces of grocery, or just get gas. That is something that, or just put one of those subscription that you have on a monthly basis that you have to pay, or a utility bill in that particular card, just pay it off every single month, and you will be good to go. That way you just keep it active, and it's going to be a good deal for you. That way you don't have to cut down your credit history, and you just keep it active, which is at the end of the day is going to be more valuable. Just keep it open. Like I said, there is exceptions that you can go through, because there is not good products that usually we get when we are in this first space, or we are starting over, or starting fresh, building credit or rebuilding credit, or starting from scratch, and we just get these we are just desperate to start getting credit and funding, that we just get any offer that we can get, because we just want to get approved, we just want to start, and that's when we start getting bad decision, because we just apply. So I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. Obviously it is what it is, but then we have to deal with the consequences. Another mistake is applying for too many cards at once. So I mean, it's not a bad thing you have too many credit cards or funding in a I mean, in life, let's say that. So it's not a bad habit or anything like that. It's just at once. So applying to a credit card, a new credit card, in a short period of time is going to trigger hard increase on your credit every single time that you apply for a credit card, even though it might be in the same financial institution, because usually the way that they have the software set up is that they're going to pull the credit per application. So you have to be aware that that is usually they gonna do that way. So you might have to check or double check the data points. I'm not sure. I haven't found a bank that can give you the choice to apply more than one product with just one credit check. It could be, so you just have to do your research about it. But usually, in my understanding and my research, is like you every time you apply, even though it's in different bank or in the same bank but different product, they gonna pull your credit, and this gonna put a hard inquiry in your credit every single time. So this kind of every time that you have a hard inquiry is gonna lower your credit temporarily, which is gonna have hit, you know, it is gonna negatively impact your credit, which is not good. So I will suggest you to avoid applying for multiple credit cards in a short period of time to minimize the impact, the negative impact on your credit score. Usually you can play with the inquiries too. You have to double check because inquiries take depend of the type of inquiry, maybe 2 years to fall off of your credit report. Even it could be less, it can be more. But the reality is, if you have to be careful with this, there is also different ways to remove inquiry. I will not recommend to remove inquiry that unopens account, or let's say that you got approved for a credit card, but you just wanna remove that inquiry. You just gonna deal with that. I will not recommend that because that's gonna also impact negatively in your credit, and also actually they can even close that account. So you're gonna be hit negatively for different reasons. So you just have to be mindful about it. Is this is not a good thing to apply to multiple at once. So just time frame, what you can do is just verify and choose wisely in a specific product. That way you don't have to keep applying for different credit cards. And what you could do is just applying for or request a credit increase on the same product if it's a good one, that you are getting benefits and you are getting all of the perks that you want and all of those things. So, and you don't see the needs of more credit cards, and you are good with the one that you have, the 2 or 3 that you have, well, just try to keep up with the credit increase in those one, and just stop applying for a while. That way you can leave those inquiry rest and you can go from there. And the last one but not least is ignore your credit report. I suggest that you check your credit report you check your credit report regularly. You have to review every single detail on your credit report as often as you can, because error can happen. Something can pop up on your credit that it could be fraudulent, or it could be a mistake that you have to be aware. That way you can dispute it on time. You have to be able to monitoring your credit can help. There is different software and applications in software and apps that can help you with this specific monitoring. I'm not inclined to any one specific, but I will tell you the one that I use and the one that I prefer is just on Experian. So basically on Experian, they have a membership that you can pay. I believe they have 7 days free when you register, but after the 7 days, then you have to start paying a monthly fee. But even though that is worth it, because you're gonna keep eye on your credit, not just Experience. They're gonna provide you the 3 main credit bureau, which are Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. So that way you can keep eye on it. You can just catch anything or any issue that can pop up and early, and take the step that you need to take to address it as soon as possible, because that way as sooner as you address it, less impact it has on your credit report and your credit score. Remember that by avoiding this common credit card mistake and practicing responsible credit management, you will be building a really stable and positive credit history, in maintaining healthy finance that will be amazing over time, and you will be able to get everything that you want related with your credit and finance, like funding and more. So this is basically all of what I have about the common mistake as a beginner. So if you like this type of content, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment below if there is any mistake of this one that has happened to you before, or if there is any others that you think that are important that we might need to be aware of. You never know who you can help with your comments or your example. So engage in the comment section. That will help tremendously to my channel. I also want to make an invitation to you. I'm trying to build a VIP community, which I'm inviting you to be part of. I'm hosting that in the school. It has a website. It also have a mobile app, which is user friendly. It's really cool. So I hope to see you there. I'm gonna be leaving the link below, and please click on it, just check it out, and I hope to see you there. That's all for today, and see you in the next one. Bye.